I need to tell you something, and I'm just going to come out and say it. For the entire time this channel's existed, I've been lying to you. Well, lying by omission at the very least. Every review, every opinion, and every tutorial I've ever given you was completely honest, and I stand by all of it. The lie's a bit stranger than that, and today you're going to get the whole story, plus the start of the biggest thing I've ever done on this channel. So, go grab a coffee. I'll get one too, and then we'll get into it. If you're new here, welcome. You've picked a strange day to arrive. Around here I make videos about smart homes, home labs, and the general art of making technology behave itself, but today's not that sort of video. It's a confession/announcement about the channel's future. The confession part goes like this. I'm a smart home/home lab YouTuber. Keyword in both of those is home, and the observant amongst you may have noticed that I've never really shown you much of my home. It's because I didn't actually have one, not one of my own at the very least. Nearly all of my tech has spent the last year and a half stacked floor to ceiling in a storage unit, stuck in boxes and doing absolutely nothing smart whatsoever. It was in those boxes before I ever filmed a single video. If you've been here a while, you might have even noticed that every video on this channel seems to happen in the same couple of rooms or against a green screen. That wasn't a stylistic choice, it was all I had, because for the last year and a half, I was what the UK government would classify as a member of the hidden homeless. For 13 years, I made a really good living as a software engineering contractor. It was a proper career, it paid well, and I'd gotten comfortably used to the idea that when one contract ended, another would turn up no more than a few weeks later. Then in late 2022, my contract ended at the exact moment the bottom fell out of the tech jobs market. This wasn't a dip, the floor just went. So I did what you're supposed to do. I applied, I interviewed, I waited, and then I applied some more. That went on for the best part of 2 years. I must have applied for like 800 jobs, and in all of that time, I found about 4 months of paid work and none of it was consecutive. Meanwhile, my savings drained away. All of them. Once the savings were gone, the debt started, and by the end of it, I was about 30 grand down with still no job in sight. Eventually, the math stopped mathing, and I realised that I couldn't pay my rent after next month, which meant that I was about to face the prospect of being homeless. The only reason that word never became my day-to-day reality is because of somebody very close to me who very kindly let me move back into my old home and live there rent-free while I got myself back on my feet. Supposed to be a few months, it turned into 19. I will be grateful to her for that for the rest of my life, and that's all I'm going to say on that matter because some things aren't content, but she knows who she is. But this is how a smart home ends up in a storage unit. When you're a guest in somebody else's house, you don't get to start filming every square inch of their home and filling it with smart tech. The gear went into boxes, the boxes went into storage. Throughout all of this, I was still looking for work. I did manage to get a few short contracts here and there, but they didn't pay what they used to, and nobody would commit to anything better than 1 month rolling contract, which means I had no security, so I couldn't risk moving out. It was at that time I met a chap called Nigel Gordon Johnson who ran a weekly online live stream to help people like me who were stuck in the middle of the jobs crisis. If you're in the same boat that I was then, I highly recommend checking him out. I'll put a link to him down below. He does this out of the goodness of his own heart, and I honestly don't know if any of the rest of this story would have happened without him, as he taught me applying for jobs was only part of the equation, and the majority of it was getting yourself out there and making yourself visible. And that brings us to the start of this channel, because it was born right in the middle of that stretch. I started making videos while I was living on somebody else's good graces as part of trying to find work, filming what I could sensibly run in a couple of rooms that I actually lived in. So if you ever wondered why a smart home channel never really showed you a smart home, now you know. There's never been one to show. My first video wasn't even meant to be the start of anything big. I was applying for a job for a well-known smart home company, which I didn't get, but that's a whole other story. And they said they wanted a technical leader who was also willing to do video tutorials. That sounded petrifying to me. I'd made a few short YouTube videos in the past many years ago, but I was awkward and nervous on camera, and I didn't really love the idea of doing it again. I really wanted that job, and Nigel talked me into doing it, so I did. I made my first video, and I think it was kind of rubbish, but I published it anyway. But I made my second one, and I just loved it. So I just kept making them every single week, and I've made one every single week ever since. Then, last year the tide finally started to turn. I got some better paying gigs, and with my living costs being basically nothing, month by month the picture changed. I stayed afloat, I kept the storage unit paid, I managed to fund this channel's growth, and I even clawed back a little bit of savings. Then a company that I never would have imagined I'd get the chance to work for, the kind I'd have written on a dream board and then felt stupid about, offered me a permanent role, which literally only started last week at the point of filming, but I finally had the security to stop mooching and find my own place. Now look, I need to be straight with you here, because honesty is kind of the theme of this video. I'm still very much in debt. I even had to sell my car in order to fund the move. Being out of work for over 2 years costs more than a good 6 months can pay back. But I'm back on my feet, properly, and for the first time in almost 4 years, the ground beneath me feels stable. So I've finally moved into my own place. I got stupidly lucky, because it's basically my dream flat, and I don't know how I managed to get it at the price I did. The view alone is £1 million view. It came completely unfurnished, save for 2 tellies I didn't really ask for and I don't actually want, but beyond that, this place is a blank slate. Empty rooms, bare walls, and a storage unit full of smart tech about to finally come home. Which brings me to the announcement. This channel's about to change. I'm no longer constrained. All of my smart tech is here. I've got budget to buy more, and as the whole flat is mine, I can show you all of it. So I'm going to start off this chapter by starting a new series. Over the coming months, I'm going to turn this flat into the best tech apartment I could possibly build, with the gear finally out of boxes and doing its job again. I'll be buying, installing and reviewing new tech, and I'm hoping to get a few sponsors on board to help with the cost of that bit. If that's you, the inquiries page on foxyslab.com has your name all over it. But there's still one constraint, and the constraint is kind of what the series is going to orbit around. I rent this place. It's even a managed property, so I can't drill through walls to run cables, I can't cut holes in doors to add smart locks, and if a project requires any sort of permanent change, that project ain't happening. When I eventually leave this place, I have to hand the flat back exactly as I found it. Every single thing I do in this series has to respect that. If you own your own home, the stuff on this channel will still work for you, but if you rent, this is properly for you. Because for once, nobody's going to open with, step 1, go get a whole saw and butcher your front door. I'm still going to be making my What the Heck series. I'll still do my usual content, but most of the content for the next few months will be part of this series. I would actually really appreciate feedback from you guys, both positive and negative, as I'm going to be experimenting with content and formats a bit here to work out what's best for my audience and what I enjoy doing the most. And as part of my audience, you personally are an important part of that process, and I really appreciate you. If you want a bit of a behind the scenes look, including like an empty flat walkthrough and a few other bits that I'm not going to post on YouTube, I'm going to be posting some extra footage over on my Patreon. I'll pop a link down below if you want to check it out, or if you just want to support this channel and get the occasional early access video, you can always just join my channel as a member by hitting the join button on this page. I thank you in advance. Most of my smart home went into boxes before this channel even existed, and every video I've ever made for you so far was filmed without it, but that's over now. The boxes are home. You're going to see every last bit of it, and I've never been happier to have nothing to hide. So that was my deep dark secret. It feels so good to get it out in the open. Hope you can forgive me. I hope you'll join me for the next chapter of my life. All you need to do is click that subscribe button. Ta-ra.